We are about to begin the surface core cut, front and center. I began by prepping my hair with Trinity Protein Tonic. Trinity Protein Tonic is full of flexible amaranth proteins that help fill up the cuticle of the hair. Then I went ahead and got her sectioned. I pushed her front hair out of the way and pulled up the top, creating a nice arch right above the nape area. Now, beginning at the base with the front and center, we're going to start by working with our surface razor. This is going to allow us to have a lot of movement in the back area here and nicely bevel those edges under. Making sure our guest isn't tipping down more than 10 degrees, I'm going to start in the back center of their haircut. To make it easier to view, I'm going to step off to the side of my section so that you can better see where I'm beginning. Taking a small vertical section down the center of the nape is where I'm going to begin my guide. I'm going to establish how short I want that hair to lay. Once I've established that, I am going to take my razor and begin at the top of my section. And as I work, I'm going to slowly bevel my fingers down, bringing it in closer, and as I get to the end, a little bit longer. By leaving the bottom a little bit longer and swinging our fingers out, we can create more of a piecey motion and fringe along the nape line. Now moving to one side, I'm going to grab a little bit of my last section so that I can still see my guide. And again, starting at the top, rolling my fingers under and swooping outward as I get to the bottom. We are going to continue this motion all the way across. And as I near that red zone, I am going to lightly direct it backwards to make sure I'm not creating unnecessary holes in the haircut on the edge. And then go ahead and do the same thing, working towards the other side. Letting those fingers collapse down, and in a swooping motion, letting that bottom be a little bit longer. Directing that red zone backwards. Now it's time to move up higher on the back of the head. Now that we've let down our next layer following that same arching motion in our part line, we're going to begin to move up the neck. I'm going to start in the center, grabbing a section from beneath as my guide, making sure that I have little to no elevation here, and making sure that I can see my guide beneath my hair. In working in a swinging motion, I'm going to start on the right side and slowly feather across. And the reason I'm starting on one side and going to the other is because that's the direction I want the hair to move. So grab your section and again, blending to the guideline underneath it, and softly swing cutting in the direction we want that hair to live. Directing that red zone back just a little bit farther and coming all the way to the edge. Now as we move to the other side, we want to keep the same thing in mind. We want to cut in the direction we want the hair to move. So now I'm going to be cutting down to the right. Same swinging motion with our razor. And see how that hair just nice, softly wants to go to the right. And with that red zone, I'm going to softly direct it backwards, making sure I'm not taking off too much as I come near that ear. Now we've dropped our next section and we're ready to move up higher into the haircut. I included the red zone and up and above the ear. Now I'm going to do the same thing starting in the middle back of the head, except for instead of matching to my guide, this time I'm going to go slightly lower than my guide. Starting in the center and swing cutting in the direction I want that hair to go. Making sure my red zone is directed back slightly. And creating that line just a little bit longer than our guide really shows that nice tight taper at the nape and starts to give us lift right on that occipital bone. Now it's time to move on to the sides. We have a couple different options when we come into the side of our front and center haircut. We can continue to go down in that sweeping motion, or we can come up and make a straight line. Depending on your client's face shape is going to determine how much you want to accent that chin line. So on my guests today, we are going to continue our line moving downward. I'm going to get this top hair out of the way. Continuing that swinging motion all the way forward. Now it's time to move into the black zone of the haircut. So I'm going to let down that section and comb that hair down. Starting on one side and moving through the back of the head, we're going to work in vertical sections. Picking up the hair in vertical sections, starting with our razor edge pointed towards the ceiling and beveling up toward the black zone. By working underneath with a bevel, we are creating a tapered edge so that that hair wants to lay under. And we're going to continue this motion through the entire back of the head, tapering underneath and blending up to the black zone. Once we've completed moving across the entire back of the head, we are going to do a little bit of cross-checking just to make sure we didn't miss any hairs. So I'm going to lift that up and just make sure my lines blend If there's one or two little hairs at the end there, I can clean them up with my razor at this time. Now moving up towards the top of the head, we're going to work to blend our black zone to our green zone. In doing this, I'm going to find the part of my client's hair, and I'm going to actually work right on that part to create my guide. Now that we have that section over our part line, we're ready to blend our black zone to our green zone. We're going to start by combing that hair all the way up, making sure we have the guide of our black zone. And I'm going to stand on the back so you can see a little bit better here with our razor, swing cutting, and going shorter to longer to create that direction in the hair. Again, making sure we have a piece of that black zone, we're going to work diagonally through the green zone, making sure to swing our hands out and create that extra length towards that red zone in the front of the hair. Now it's time to blend the top to the sides. We're going to pick up that vertical section, and you can see as my bottom perimeter falls out, I'm not taking off much at all of that corner. Being careful that whenever I get to my red zone, I'm directing that backward. Now on our opposite side of the part with less hair, we're going to have a little bit more of a corner. So we want to do the same thing, picking up that hair, letting the perimeter fall out, and working to blend that corner. Now on our side that's parted over, we'll notice there's a little bit of a weight line right at her cheek. So we're just going to soften that area up gently. We're going to take our razor and we're going to take and weave it in and out and in and out of the hair. And in one long motion, we're just going to take and pull the weight out on the top of that layer. And that's going to really soften that hair right on that cheekbone. When it comes to styling the front and center, we want to create a lot of lift and volume in the hair. So we're going to use a texturizing technique called rolling the razor. Rolling the razor includes grabbing the hair that you want to lighten on the top, and in one hand holding your comb, and in the other hand holding your razor, and very lightly letting that comb drop the hair over the razor. And this is going to create some soft, smaller hairs right on top there to help lift and create volume within the front and center haircut. Again, just lightly setting it on that razor. We don't want to create any new lengths or new layers within that hair. And that's created a ton of lift and volume already. Now we really like this weight line that our layers have created back here. But if you want to lighten it up just a little bit, you can take your RZ Fine blenders and come in just right at the edge of those hairs and just lightly tap those ends. That's going to remove a little bit of weight at that weight line without changing or creating a new layer within the haircut. See how that just softens it out? And this is just a light tapping motion. Tap, tap. And that completes our front and center core cut.